Like, don't laugh at me, Riley. Riley, these videos are boring as it is. I'm going to make them fun for myself. Don't laugh at me. Or put it in the note and be like, wow, you are an idiot. Like, that's fine. Like, you put that, and I'd be like, okay, well, I don't know how to change that, but okay. So, this is the review for your test. One of the comments was, hey, help us study more for our test. Okay. The review packet's kind of, okay, good. This is your test. Caden's already tried to cheat and look at all, and that's fine. He said he's not going to remember it. What was the first question?
I don't even know. It was an equation.
It was an equation. It was 3x minus 5 equals something. Okay, so I am going to physically go through the entire class. You're going to work through problems. I'm going to do them with you. The test. Fair enough? Okay. So I'm telling you this is on the test. So this is a system of linear equations, even if you don't know that yet. 500 tickets were sold for a certain music concert. The tickets for the adults and children sold for $7.50 and $4 respectively. And the total receipts for the performance were $3,312.50. How many of each kind of ticket were sold? Brittany's going to town, but she's a little loud. There, don't get so excited. There are two equations that we need to know how to solve for. There's two things that are going to be equal. Well, the first thing that we look at is the total number of tickets sold. What does the total number of tickets sold equal? Jacob? 500. So set up two equations. We're going to do that by saying we know the first equation equals 500. Because it tells me that there's 500 tickets sold. Well, what types of tickets equaled the 500? What two different types of tickets equaled the 500 total sold? Caleb? Well, those are prices. What types were those? Oh, so the number of adults tickets plus the number of children tickets equals 500. Notice how many variables we have. 2. To do a system of linear equation, how many variables are we always going to have? 2 for right now. Okay? Question so far. Now there is another equation. What does the other equation have to add up to? Hold on.
$3,312.
$3,312.50. Well, what is getting added together or subtracted or multiplied to give me this amount? And Caleb kind of already told us. Go ahead, Alana, give me one of them.
$7.50, right?
Oh, $7.50 times the number of adult tickets. Because if we sold one adult ticket, we only made $7.50. Okay, so what's going to be the second part that we're going to add together for this? Come on, somebody other than Alana. Go ahead. Brandon. $4C. Perfect. So now we have our system. And you have two ways that you can solve this system. Could you graph it? Sure. Anybody want to graph up to $3,312.50? Mason does. Okay, Mason, you can start now. You come back to me in a couple days, okay? The rest of us have decided that that's probably not a great idea. So we have two options. We can solve by substitution, or we can solve by elimination. I personally like to solve by elimination better. Okay? How can I get, first off, if I'm going to solve by elimination, are these aligned? Are they in the same order? Everything is in its right place? Aiden? Okay? So they are aligned. What do I need to do to one of these equations so that the coefficients are the same? Ella?
You need to multiply the top one by 4.
Oh. I need to multiply this top one by 4. And then I heard Braden say, or by 750. That's a great thing, too. I don't like to use decimals. That's the only reason why we're not going to do that. So I'm going to multiply this entire equation by 4. That leaves me 4a plus 4c equals 2,000. And we learned on, that was, what day was I see you guys last? What day is today? Tuesday? So last Wednesday, that this is the multiplicative property of equality. If I multiply an entire equation, it does not change the equation. Well, that's the top one. Did I do anything to the bottom? No, so we just rewrite it. 750A plus 4C equals $3,312.50. Okay, so now we're looking to eliminate. Which variable are we eliminating? Ella, the C. Do I want to add or subtract them? Subtract, because the signs, the coefficients are the same. So get your calculators, do this step. So you should be able to solve now for A. I'm going to give you a minute. So now that you've seen it, finish this out and solve for A. Talk to your partners if you need to. Because you're working, so am I. 4 minus 750 is negative 350. 4 minus 4 is 0. 2,000 minus is negative 1,000. Okay, pause and take a look real quick. I know you're still working. Did everybody get to this point where it's negative 350A equals negative $1,312.50? Okay, keep on working. Now I solve my equation. Questions, concerns, problems getting A equals 375. Okay, so the second step after we find A is to substitute it in back to an original. So I'm going to say 375. That says 35. Try again, Ms. Rich. 375 plus C equals 500. I subtract 375. C equals 125. Okay, now this is different from what we've been doing. This is a word problem, this is a real life problem. Does it want an ordered pair? Does the question ask for an ordered pair? No, it says how many of each kind of ticket were sold. I would say 375 adult tickets and 125 children tickets were sold. What questions do you have, Jacob?
How did you get to 375?
I divided negative 1,312.50 divided by negative 350.
Oh, subtracting.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So those of you in the back, because of the stool, were you able to see everything? Yes? Okay. And when you watch the video, please let me know whether it's glaring or not. I'm trying something new. Okay, are we good here? Questions? Give you one more minute, copy it down. You will see something like this on your test. This is not, the only thing that's somewhat new is writing the equations. Everything else is the same, but we've been writing equations for multiple years. And I told you during the taco truck, which was my spirit animal, that you had to know how to write the equation. Everybody good? Yes? Okay. So I think this is when it really glares. Let's see. Maybe not. Okay. So I told you we're going through the entire test. Some are going to be easy, some are not. Some are going to be basic, some are not. So I'm going to put 3 problems up. Work with your group. me get the test. The test. Okay, so you have three equations. Negative 2x minus 7 equals 15. 3 multiplied by the quantity of x minus 1 plus 7 equals 33. And negative 1/7 x equals 20. Copy them down, get started. Again, talk it over. Once you have it, check your answers with your partners. I want to hear you talking. I want to hear you working together on these. So there should be a slight buzz the entire time that we're working on these. Or it should be dead silent. Either one.
My second row was at 33.
It is a 33. It's just a really rough 33. I think I'm done with Britney Spears for today. I need something a little bit better than that. Show of fingers, 1, 2, or 3 more minutes. How much more time do we need? Seeing a bunch of 1s, a bunch of 2s, a bunch of 3. Let's go 2 more minutes. Go. Again, there are probably 5 or 6 equations. We've been doing equations since the very beginning of this class. These should seem like second nature. You may certainly get fractions, and that's fine. You know I like fractions. I really hope that's not glaring. No, it's still glaring right there. Why? That's not helpful. Better with the light on. Let's see what happens. About 30 seconds left. Okay, so we're going to kind of treat this as a game. The prize that I have, I'll tell you when I go find it. So, keep track of the ones you get correct. Everybody with me? Yes? No? Does everybody understand? It's on our system. I mean, it's not going to be like I don't know what's in my desk yet. I'll find the prize. Probably a fuzzy neon glow stick. But they're pretty amazing. So, number 1, find our balance point. We have to move the constant. The goal is to isolate the variable. We move the constant by using the inverse operation. That's the additive inverse. That leaves me negative 2x comes on down. 15 plus 7 is 22. I divide by -2. That's really the multiplicative inverse. Leaves me with x equals -11. Thumbs up if we got it. I'm hoping that we all got -11. Okay? This is extremely similar to your test. Number 2. There's a couple different ways that you can start this. You can move the constant first, or, my preference, distribute. I distribute first because I like to take care of all of one side. That leaves me with 3 times x minus 3 plus 7. I combine like terms. That leaves me 3x plus 4 equals 33. Now I'm going to move the constant with the inverse operation because I did nothing that changed the value of this left-hand side. This is equivalent to this. This is equivalent to this. This guy is equivalent to this guy. Okay? I didn't change the value. I didn't change that weight of that side, which is why I don't have to do anything to the other side. But now I'm taking 4 pounds away from this side, so I better take 4 pounds away from that side. Leaves me 3x equals 29. I divide by 3. Your calculator will not simplify it, so I get 29/3. Remember, unless I specifically ask for a decimal, and I'll tell you when I do, I want a fraction. Okay? This one. This is the multiplicative inverse through and through. I mean, this is truly what we're doing. I cannot divide by a fraction. So we are going to multiply by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of -1/7 is multiplying by -7 times 1. Because -7 times -1 is +7. 1 times 7, it's not a negative, is 7. 7 divided by 7 is 1. The goal is to have 1x. So I've used the multiplicative inverse to get the 1, but we know that the coefficient with that x is 1 even when it's not there. Have I lost anybody at that point? Then -20 or -7 times 20 should be -140. Okay, so those two obviously got all 3 right. They're doing high fives in the background, which social distance, air fives.
Yeah.
Come on now. Now I'm probably, there we go, good. I'm joking, you're fine. Okay, questions? Are we feeling a little bit more confident with this? Okay. So still equations. Number 1, you're going to solve. Number 2, you're solving for x. Number 3, you're solving and graphing. So number 1, you're going to solve. Number 2, you're solving for x. And number 3, you're going to solve and graph. So you have 3 multiplied by the quantity of x minus 7 plus 4 equals 1/3 multiplied by the quantity of 5x minus 2. Number 2, you're solving for x. It's 3x minus 9y equals 3. And number 3, -3 times the quantity of 2x minus 1 is greater than 5. Again, you may work together, you may talk. So far, we've got a couple people probably who have had all 3 correct. This will be exactly how your test starts, with questions like this. You will start off by solving 6 either equations or inequalities. Remember, help each other. Ask for help if you need it. Use your notes. So obviously in this review video, you're going to have to skip ahead because it's a question and then dead time, and then question and then dead time, right? Like, you don't have to watch the 50 minutes of video to get all the answers. No fingers, 1, 2, or 3. How much more time? Okay, I'm seeing 3s. Let's go. About a minute and a half. If you're getting stuck, my guess is you should really ask for help or pay attention. Do you see 2 variables in this one? There's not those 2 variables. You're not going to graph it. How are we going to graph a single variable? So remember that. Okay, here we go. So if you haven't finished yet, you can't not count that question as being correct. Everybody with me? So number 1, as always, I need you to double check to make sure that my work's correct. You're going to do it in your calculator. I'm going to do it in my head. So we've got 3x minus 21. That's my distributing. Plus 4. I'm not going to worry about the right-hand side yet. Negative 21 plus 4 leaves me with 3x minus 17. I am now officially done with that left-hand side. Equals. I distribute. That leaves me with 5/3 x minus 2/3. Still with me? Yes? I'm going to add 17 to both sides. Well, 17, that leaves me 3x equals 5/3 x. And 17 is 1, carry the 2, 52. So that should give me negative 49/3. Somebody do that. So do a positive 49/3. Yeah, negative 2/3 plus 17 should be positive 49/3. If I did my math correctly in my head. Yes, you're checking with calculators? Okay. Have to subtract 5/3 x. Now, this is where some of you might be confused. Mr. H, why aren't you multiplying? Well, because this is still addition problem. Okay, this is either 5/3 x plus 49/3, or if we use the commutative property, 49/3 plus 5/3 x. So we need to move it by subtracting. So I'm subtracting 5/3 x from both sides. That leaves me 49/3. 3 is 9/3, so that should give me 4/3 x. Still with me? And if I'm doing my math wrong, double check, do 3 minus 5 divided by 3. Should be 4/3. The last step is very similar to number 3 that we just did. We cannot divide by the fraction, so we have to multiply by the, say the word, reciprocal, which is 3/4. That's the multiplicative inverse. That leaves me with x equals, 3's go away. I should have 49/4. I don't think that simplifies, but you should double check in your calculator. Do 49 divided by 4, math enter, but I don't think it simplifies. So, I'll be impressed. Thumbs up for anybody who got that one. You know, it's not a Is this the answer that you had?
No, I was close, but I messed up because I didn't do the 17 adding up.
Questions on this one. So we all missed this one. Are there questions? What do you need to understand to help you with this question? Because now would be the time to say, hey, Mr. H, I don't get this step. What questions do you have? Braden.
The fraction part on the right side.
Which fraction part on the right side?
The middle. Yeah.
So you don't know how to do 5/3 minus 5/3?
Wait. No, 3x minus 5/3.
Okay. So do 3 minus 5/3 in your calculator. So do 3 minus 5 divided by 3. It's going to give you a decimal of 1.333333. Yeah? Press math, enter. That's how I'm getting the 4/3. Okay? Anybody else? Okay, let's see if we can make a comeback. Solve for x. So the goal is to isolate the x. I need to move the y. So I add 9y. That leaves me with 3x equals 9y plus 3. Could you have 3 plus 9y? Sure. Everybody with me there? Oh man, this looks kind of like slope-intercept form. Kind of. Divide by 3. If you have something that looks like this, will I give you credit? Sure. Will I give you full credit? Sure. Will I give you bonus? No. This is not all the way simplified. Because 9 divided by 3 is 3y. 3 divided by 3 is 1. This is completely simplified. Both of those are correct. This one just happens to be more correct. Did anybody get either of those? Okay, that's much better. Solve and graph. Unless I say graph the linear inequality, we're not going to be using our coordinate plane. So this is just a inequality where we're going to solve it on a number line. So that's negative 6x plus 3 is greater than 5. I subtract 3. That leaves me negative 6x is greater than 2. I divide by negative 6. X, 1/3 negative. When we multiply or divide to both sides. Up here we just multiplied to one side by the negative. Down here we divided both sides by a negative. We have to reverse the inequality. So I'm going to put negative 1/3. I'm going to put an open circle because we are not including negative 1/3. And it's less than. Questions, concerns, problems there? Anybody's? Who got that one right? So it's not just this part that's right. You need to have this part and the graph. Am I going too fast? Okay, because that's one of the things they said, hey, I go too fast on the examples. So please make sure that if you have questions, that would be a great time. Okay, this is your first 6 questions on the test. The next question was the warm-up. We've already done that. So let's move on. Okay, here we go. pull my shirt down. My sweaters are short. Ashley sells pancakes and waffles. Each pancake sells for $1.25, and waffles for $2. Ashley wants to make at least $75. Let pancakes be X and waffles be Y. So go ahead and copy that down. You're going to want that. Okay, so here's what I'd like you to do. First, set up a linear inequality. So you need to write an equation, or actually, let me try that again. You need to write an linear inequality based off of what's up here. So write a linear inequality. This is very similar to the burritos and tacos question that we had in our packet that I said, hey, this is going to be on the test. Lo and behold, it's going to be on the test. Once you have it written down, write the linear inequality. This is not a system of linear equations. This is just a linear inequality. You're not going to have two equations because you don't have enough stuff up there for two equations. Show of hands, who still needs one more minute for writing the inequality? Okay, about 15 seconds. The key word there is at least. We can absolutely make more than or equal to $75. But what are we selling to get there? We're selling the waffles plus the pancakes, or whatever it is. The pancakes and the waffles. Pancakes is X. Well, what are we selling them for? Well, $1.25 X and $2 Y. Everybody with me? Okay. So here's what I would like you to do. Graph it. Go ahead and graph it. So because this is a linear inequality, two variables, the first thing we should be doing is getting it into what kind of form? What form should we get this inequality into? Slope intercept form. So isolate the y, go. So you're doing two things now. So now that you're getting into slope-intercept form, you're going to graph it. And then I want you to explain what the graph means. So after you graph it, write a good solid sentence explaining what the graph means. And if there's errors in the graph, explain that too. This is a linear inequality, which means you're going to have to draw a line on a coordinate plane. Whenever we're talking about putting it into slope-intercept form to graph it, it's going to be on that coordinate plane. So while you're working, slope-intercept form, I subtract 125x from both sides. That leaves me 2y is greater than or equal to negative 125x plus 75. I divide each individual thing by 2. Y is greater than or equal to, and I believe that simplifies down to negative 5/8 plus 37.5. What is that going to be? 75 divided by 2? 37.5? Yes? I'm not going to change that to a fraction, and I'll explain why. So that's slope-intercept form. So that's what we're going to end up graphing. Madness. Slow down. Go about 2 more minutes. So you need to graph, and you need to explain what the graph is stating, and if there's things wrong with the graph. Okay. So this seems to be a question as I walk around that we're really going to want to copy down. You already have this in your notes. We did something very similar to this. I told you, I think a week and a half ago, this would be on your test. So if you need to go back to your packet, I want to say it was from lesson 21. Take a look. It's in there. It's in the problem set. So first off, my y-intercept is at 37.5. If my y-intercept is a decimal, perfect. Leave it like that. Because if it comes to 75 halves is a little bit tougher to graph, right? But 37.5 tells me exactly where it is. It's right here in the middle. And now I'm going down 5. Well, if this is at 37.5, going to 32.5 is down 5. Over 8 is 5, not quite to 10, so I'm going to put it somewhere right there. Okay, is my graph going to be a little bit off? Sure it will. Why? Because it's not a perfect graph. On your test, you will have a graph given to you. Notice that I'm making this a straight line. Why is this a straight line, or not a straight line, I'm sorry. Why is it a solid line? Who can tell me why this is a solid line? Go ahead, Caleb. Because it's greater than or equal to. So it's a solid line, and that means shade above. So this is what I should see on your test. And then it should be, okay, so what can you tell me about this graph? First, we did not shade in any of the negatives because you cannot sell negative amounts of pancakes or negative amounts of waffles. Therefore, I kept all of my answers in the first quadrant. Okay, does that make sense? We can't have negatives, so I'm not going to have a negative pancake. I'm not going to have a negative waffle. So what's wrong with this graph? Well, this shows me every possibility. Correct? Well, can I sell 37 and a half waffles? Right? You don't go to a store and say, excuse me, I don't like half of this meal. They're going to be like, cool, it's the same price. Just put half of it in a box, right? So the only thing wrong with this graph is it includes every single possibility, including fractions. So the fractions aren't part of those solutions, even though it's part of the graph. This is where common sense comes in. You can't sell a third of a waffle. I mean, I guess you could, but you're not going to. Everybody with me on this? So if I'm going to explain this, again, I'm going to show my graph. I'm going to say, hey, I'm not having anything in the negatives because I can't sell negative amounts. But what's wrong with this graph is I can't sell fractional parts of a waffle. I can't sell 1/29th of a waffle or a pancake. Can you be sure that you're going to cut up just perfectly 1/29th and sell it for 1/29th of the price? That would be ridiculous. Okay, everybody with me? Last type of question. We might not get through it. Is something that we've already been doing. You've done it as your warm-up several times. We did problems with it. And it's going to simply say graph, find an estimate, find an exact. And I'm going to give you 2x plus 3y equals 1, so equals 6, and x minus 2y equals 4. So you're going to graph, find an estimate, find an exact. And finding an exact, you can use two different ways. You can do a substitution or elimination. Again, you may work together. You can be loud and be on the video, but remember, you're on the video. I know it's not a lot of time, but you only have about 1 more minute. Okay, so slope-intercept form, there's your 2 equations. You should absolutely have both of those already down. Again, you'll be given graphs on your test, so you won't have to worry about making nice, perfect graphs. But I'll still give you rulers so that you can make nice lines. So I'm starting off at positive 2. My slope is down 1, 2 over 1, 2, 3. We know it's going downhill because it's negative. Then, negative 2, up 1 over 1, 2. Okay, so my guess is right here. I'm going to use that guess. That is at, so my estimate is at 3, 0. I know that's not quite right, but that's my guess. Everybody still with me? So now I have 2 options, substitution or elimination. Because we've already used elimination, I'm going to do substitution. They're both fractions, that's miserable, but y is negative, or y is 1/2 x minus 2. So if I used this one, I'm substituting it into this one. So I put 2x plus 3y equals 6. 2x plus 3 times y is 1/2 x minus 2 equals 6. Distribute, distribute. 2x plus 3/2 x minus 6 equals 6. That's 4, so that's 7/2 x minus 6 equals 6. Add 6. That gives me 7/2 x equals 12. Give me a second, let me finish it. I'd copy it down. Multiply by the reciprocal, which is 2/7.
Second hour choir students will need to go to the cafeteria today.
24/7.
The second
Once
hour
I have
choir
that,
students,
substitute
please
back
go
in.
to the
So now I've
cafeteria.
got 24/7 minus 2y equals 4. Subtract 24/7. That gives me negative 2y. That's 28 minus 24 is 4/7. Divide by a negative 2. That gives me y equals negative 2/7. So my ordered pair should be 24/7, comma negative 2/7 if I did everything correct. Double check your work. You will have questions like this on your test. Test on Thursday.